So, we're now officially a couple of weeks into the 2025 anime season, and things are looking good. Solo Leveling Season 2 not only looks better, but is kicking into even higher gears of action than Season 1 even imagined. Sakamoto Days is giving us a fresh new IP to dive into in anime form. The second season of Apothecary Diary is giving us some more sweet Mao Mao action as she cracks ancient Chinese mysteries. And Dr. Stone is... It's more Dr. Stone. That's not a good or a bad thing. That's just the Dr. Stone thing. And thus the 2025 season of anime has truly kicked off the right way. But is 2025 going to be one of those years in anime that we look back on with regret or admiration? 2024, pretty good year for anime. Oshinoko Season 2, Delicious in Dungeon, Bleach TYBW Core 3, and so much more. 2017, really bad year for anime, with the best anime being made in 2017 being Made in Abyss, and the second best maybe being Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. So which way will we remember 2025? Well, if I had to venture a guess, I would say with longing and admiration, because this year has an absolutely packed slate of anime coming up. And today, I want to tell you about all that we have to look forward to in this upcoming year of anime. Because today, we're talking 2025's anime timeline explained. But before we get to explaining anything, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. Hold up, you're gonna spend a minute with me real quick, because I want to talk to you about the sponsor of today's video, Factor. Factor wants to help you take the stress and inconvenience out of mealtime, ensuring that you're still crushing your nutrition goals with enough time left in your day to do the things that you enjoy. See, unfortunately, when it comes down to it, me, Steven, Chris, and Danny don't have all the time in the world. We especially don't have enough time to goof around with each other and make videos like this if we have to spend all day cooking, prepping, and cleaning just to make a little bit of food. And that's where Factor comes into play. See, Factor keeps us going because the four of us know that we have nutritional, dietitian approved, healthy, and easy to make meals at home waiting for us whenever we need them. We get meals delivered to us by Factor every single week, and we know those meals just take 2 minutes in the microwave to prep. But Factor's got us covered with more than just lunch every single week. They also cover us with breakfast, smoothies, snacks, juices, and so much more, which takes the stress out of every kind of grocery shopping. On top of that, with Factor, we know that we're making a sustainable choice, as Factor offsets 100% of their delivery emissions and sources 100% renewable energy for the production and offices. But when it comes to food, there's a big difference between showing and telling. So let's head down to the kitchen and try some Factor meals.
Today I want to take the time to illustrate to you that HelloFresh can truly cater to any dietary restrictions by eating our 3-bean vegan chili.
Prepping this meal is the same as prepping any Factor meal. We take this slide off here, poke a couple of holes in the plastic, throw it in the microwave for 2 whole minutes. Take it out, apply our sauce here for flavor.
And that is delicious. And more important than anything, easy, and also dietitian approved.
So what are you guys waiting for? Head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code 50TWC to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first Factor box. That's code 50TWC at factor75.com to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. If you started microwaving a Factor meal at the beginning of this ad, it'd be done by now and you'd have something to eat while you watch us. So we've already done a video talking about everything that you need to know before the winter 2025 anime season, where we covered what was going to go down in Solo Leveling, Sakamoto Days, Dr. Stone, Apothecary Diary Season 2, and even Zenshu, the new MAPPA original anime that's apparently an isekai. However, today I want to take a step back. I want to take a wider view and go season by season in the year of 2025 and explain to you what I'm most excited about. So let's go season by season and explain what I believe are going to be the hits that we're talking about for years to come when we talk about the year of 2025 in anime. But I feel as though I'd be doing this season a great disservice if I didn't start with it. So first up, let's quickly talk about the winter 2025 season. Unfortunately, as much as I love Dr. Stone and Apothecary Diaries, when we look back at the 2025 season, the only anime we're going to remember from this season are Solo Leveling and Sakamoto Days. Because with all honesty, if I was to ask you what anime you remember from 2024, there's a high likelihood that your top 2 answers would be Solo Leveling and Kaiju number 8. And Solo Leveling Days and Sakamoto Days are in a very similar situation to how Solo Leveling and Kaiju number 8 ran the 2024 slate. See, I have not a singular ounce of doubt in me that if the new season of JJK doesn't come out in 2024, like it most likely isn't going 2022 that Solo Leveling Season 2 is once again going to be the biggest anime of the year, with Solo Leveling Season 1 being by far and away the most watched anime of 2024. Now, does that mean that I believe Solo Leveling Season 1 was the best anime that dropped last year? No, I believe that's Delicious in Dungeon. But Solo Leveling is a story that has mass appeal of the highest order, and Season 2 gives us even more of that mass appeal. See, Season 2, like Season 1, is only going to have about 12 episodes, except Season 2 is going to run for 13 episodes as opposed to the 12 episodes of Season 1. And while I'm only 2 episodes into Season 2 right now, as somebody who has all of the Solo Leveling books, at least the ones that are available, there's only 10 right now, I can tell you right now that Season 2 is going to elevate far beyond what these books even encapsulate, as 1A Pictures has already begun to play with the story of Solo Leveling in Season 1 to make sure the payoff of what is going to be the big arc of Season 2, the Jeju Island arc, is as fulfilling and devastating as it's meant to be. That is to say that I genuinely believe that Season 2 is going to improve upon an already massively popular story, and thus, wildly enough, kind of like JJK, with as popular as Season 1 of Solo Leveling was, I do genuinely believe Season 2 will be more so, especially when the dub for Season 2 drops, because Alex Lee is a uniquely talented voice actor. Now, I don't necessarily know if I can say the same thing for Sakamoto Days. See, Sakamoto Days, as of the recording of this episode right here, has dropped 1 episode over on Netflix, and the response is a little bit so-so. See, as a Sakamoto Days manga reader, I enjoyed this story a lot. However, fundamentally, Sakamoto Days just doesn't have as much appeal as something like Solo Leveling. It's more comedy adjacent, it's a nicher fan base, and unfortunately, even though the animation and art style is massively better than fans thought it was going to be after seeing the initial trailer, Sakamoto Days just isn't on par with Solo Leveling. I feel like that's not controversial to say. Now, do I think Sakamoto Days is going to see an undead unlook kind of fizzle out? No. But do I think it's going to occupy the same airspace as things like JJK and Solo Leveling? Also, no. See, I believe Kaiju number 8 is really the only new IP that stands a chance in a boxing match between the highest echelons of new anime. Because as much as I love Sakamoto Days, unfortunately, the true peak of Sakamoto Days is pretty far into the manga. And with so many big and very successful anime dropping recently, with more to come, like the adaptation of Kagurabachi, I fear Sakamoto Days might fall somewhere down into the region of a Dr. Stone. Popular, but never the headliner. Especially because of the fact that some of the most popular anime of all time are returning in 2025. What do I mean by that? Well, to address that point, let's move on to the spring 2025 season, which is gonna be a pretty fun season. See, I wouldn't call the spring 2025 anime season stacked by any means. However, one of the most popular anime in recent years is making its fated return. A return quite literally 3 years in the making, because in the spring 2025 season, we're getting Fire Force Season 3. Yes, the story of Shinra and Arthur cutting their way through a world of spontaneous combustion is coming back. And Season 3, which is most likely going to be 24 episodes, like the other seasons of Fire Force, is going to end up bringing us pretty close to the ending of this story. See, the ending of episode 48, which is the last episode of Season 2, brings you to about chapter 174 in the manga, which means every episode of Fire Force is adapted from 3.5 manga chapters, an industry-leading pace. And if we get an additional 24 episodes, that would put us all the way up to the 260s in terms of chapters that we've covered of the manga. And as this is only a 302 chapter long story, that would only leave about 40 chapters, or just about 12 episodes. So if Fire Force Season 3 does end up being 24 episodes long, as I believe it will be, this will be the second to last season of Fire Force. And the season where, all puns intended here, things really kick it up a notch. See, Season 3 will see the beginning of the battle between Team 7, the rest of his firefighting force, and the true underground story of the Holy Soul Temple and their connection to the Evangelist. It will truly begin the end game of Fire Force. And considering the fact that this season has taken 3 years to make and is being produced by the same people who made Season 1 and Season 2, David Productions, we have every reason to hope that this season is going to be, if not as good as the previous seasons, better. On top of that, in the spring 2025 season, we'll also be getting Season 2 of Windbreaker, the breakout delinquent anime from early 2024 that gained massive popularity out of nowhere, and we'll be getting the first season of the My Hero Academia spin-off, Vigilantes. This prequel story to the My Hero Academia story follows the main character of the story, Koichi. Now, Koichi is not quirkless like Deku, but he has a mediocre quirk called gliding that ties him to the ground but allows him to slide across it as if he was ice skating. Now, Koichi very much admires heroes, but understands that he'll probably never be one, and yet he still wants to be able to use his quirk for the greater good. However, eventually he has to come to the realization that he'll never be able to become a hero, and he has to settle for being able to use his quirk in minor ways to help people, like helping old women cross the street. That is until eventually he's saved from a back alley brawl by the vigilante hero, Knuckle Duster, who sees legitimate potential in Koichi to become a vigilante hero, also known as an illegal hero, a person who uses their quirk without the authorization from the Heroes Association to act as an illegal hero. Now, the original concept for the story was made by Horikoshi. However, the story itself is written by one of Horikoshi's assistants, Furuhashi. The story's manga is already done. It's only about 120 chapters long. And while we don't know how many episodes we're going to get out of season 1 of Vigilantes, that does mean that the anime itself is only going to be 50 to 60 episodes long, with the possibility of it even being as short as 48 episodes. So while I do believe this show is going to garner a fair amount of attention from existing MHA fans, unfortunately it's not going to be around all that long. On top of this, there's new seasons of Black Butler and Go-Go Loser Ranger coming out this season, but do you really want to hear me talk about either of those things? You don't? Good, because I want to talk about what is probably going to be the best anime season of 2025, Summer 2025. Nick, why is Summer 2025 going to be the best anime season of 2025? Good question. I'll answer it now. That's because in the Summer 2025 season, we have the three-headed dragon of the anime that are trying to occupy the same space as Soul Leveling and JJK. And all three of them are dropping their second season in the same season. Because in the Summer 2025 season, we are getting Dawn to Dawn Season 2, Kaiju number 8 Season 2, and Sakamoto Days Season 2. And that's insane for a number of reasons. The first reason being that Sakamoto Days' first season is currently coming out, and its first season will end at the end of the winter anime season. Now, its first season is only going to be 11 episodes long, but it doesn't really matter when you consider the fact that its second season is coming out in July, which means Netflix is going to have 3 months where Sakamoto Days isn't coming out, and then it will be out again. To my knowledge, that's never happened before. Now, sure, you could say this is basically no different from dropping 24 episodes over the course of 2 separate seasons, and you would be right, but I, for the life of me, have never heard about an anime dropping 12 episodes, taking 1 season off, and then coming back for another season. Now, as to how hyped people are going to be about Sakamoto Days Season 2, I can't say right now, but I can say with relative and slightly unfortunate certainty that it will be less popular than both Kaiju number 8 Season 2 and Dawn to Dawn Season 2. Because while I have not a singular doubt in my mind that Season 2 will be better than Season 1 for Sakamoto Days, as Season 2 will most likely cover the Death Row Prisoners arc, where a group of assassins come after Sakamoto and his newfound family, and the JCC transfer exam arc, where Shin and Sakamoto take the exam to join the JCC, or the Japanese Clear Creation, which is basically assassin school. And while the amusement park arc and the lab arc are 2 fun arcs that are more introductory than anything, I fully acknowledge the characters like Shin and Lu need to have their backstories fleshed out so we can care about them going down the line of Sakamoto Days. The second 12 episodes of Sakamoto Days will be better than the first 11. However, considering the fact that on my anime list, there is currently more people waiting for Rent-a-Girlfriend Season 4 than Sakamoto Days Season 2 lets me know about basically everything I need to know about Sakamoto Days' chances of usurping either Kaiju number 8 or Dawn to Dawn. Now, since we're talking about second seasons of anime being better than their firsts, Kaiju number 8 Season 2 is also absolutely going to fall into that categorization. See, because while Season 1 of Kaiju number 8, and therefore the first 40-ish chapters of Kaiju number 8, are very Kafka-heavy, the upcoming arcs that are going to be covered in Season 2 begin to bring in the rest of the cast of characters, like Reno and Kikuru. On top of this, captains and vice captains begin to take a more active role in the story, because the upcoming 2 arcs that are most likely going to be adapted in Season 2 are the Kaiju Weapon arc and the Compatible User arc. 2 arcs that revolve around turning numbered kaiju into weapons and finding people to use them. And thus it's in these 2 arcs that the generation coming up with Kafka begin to reach his level. Well, not like his level, but they get closer. And considering the fact that Kaiju number 8 was probably the 2nd or 3rd most popular to drop in 2024, there's a pretty fair amount of hype revolving around Season 2 dropping this soon. But since we're talking about hype season 2s and them coming faster than we originally anticipated, the true beast of the summer 2025 season is none other than Dandadan Season 2. And Season 2 of Dandadan is not only just already hyped, but is going to be adapting what I identify as the 2 greatest arcs in Dandadan history. Listen, a lot of the arcs in Dandadan are equal to each other in terms of how good they are. They're all equally ridiculous, the stakes are high, the comedy hits, the characters are lovable, the circumstances are dire, and therefore it is pretty hard for me to rank one arc over the other. However, I have to admit that the Turbo Granny arc is probably the weakest arc in Dandadan. And in actuality, it's really not until we get to Gigi's arc, which is where the cliffhanger of Season 1 left us at, does Dandadan truly start to hit its stride. And thus, the fact that the upcoming 2 arcs are not only Gigi's Evil Eye arc, which is fantastic and features some of the greatest fights in this entire manga, but also the Vamala arc, which starts a overarching couple of arc-long battle against aliens with one of the more lovable and adorable characters in recent manga history. And I believe that Season 2 of Dandadan is going to reassure to everybody who enjoyed Season 1 that this story not only deserves to be in the conversation with the likes of Soul Leveling and JJK, but it may even deserve to be above at least one of those names. Now that is unfortunately kind of everything we have dates for, but that doesn't mean that that's all the anime coming out in 2025. In fact, far from it. There are a lot of anime that have either been announced to have been coming out in 2025, or the masses are assuming that they will come out in 2025. So let's first go over the anime that people are assuming are going to come out in 2025, but they haven't been confirmed. The first of which is Classroom of the Elite Season 4. I dropped the show in Season 2. I get that it's fun. I get that Aya Koji is the cool MC. That's really all I know. I do know that Season 4 is going to cover the story of Aya Koji and the rest of his classmates' second year at the advanced nurturing high school, which means a fresh gauntlet of exams and also a new cast of first years that they're going to have to figure out how to deal with. And I know that the first exam pairs the second years with the first years in a written exam, and if the second years do poorly in this written exam, they're expelled. Worse than this, one of the first years is from the White Room, like Aya Koji. It should be a lot of fun. If you like Classroom of the Elite, it's going to be more Classroom of the Elite. Another anime that's coming out in 2025 that doesn't necessarily have a date yet is Dungeon Meshi Season 2. At least people believe it'll be coming out in 2025. The general consensus is that it will. Now, as somebody who hasn't read the Dungeon Meshi manga, because the Dungeon Meshi anime snuck up on me last year and I fell so in love with it I wanted to be surprised by the anime whenever it came out, I can't necessarily tell you what's going to come up in Season 2 of Dungeon Meshi. But I'll tell you right now, as somebody who's going to vote for Dungeon Meshi as Anime of the Year for 2024, and basically any other category that it's in, whenever Dungeon Meshi Season 2 comes out, I would put a fair amount of money on the fact that I'll say it's the best anime of the year. On top of this, To Your Eternity Season 3 and Tanya the Evil Season 2 are coming out sometime in 2025, but we don't necessarily know when. And as somebody who dropped To Your Eternity halfway through Season 2 and who never saw Season 1 of Tanya the Evil, I can't tell you what to expect, but in both circumstances, I don't know, you're cry? To Your Eternity cry, Tanya the Evil cringe. I don't know, isn't she like baby Hitler or something? And last but not least of the 2025 question mark releases, we have Oshinoko Season 3, which is kind of crazy if you're a Kaguya-sama Love is War fan, because it appears as though, ironically, Oshinoko is going to get a complete adaptation before we get even more Kaguya-sama Love is War. And some of you may know Kaguya-sama Love is War and Oshinoko are written by the same mangaka, but Oshinoko came out after Kaguya-sama Love is War. Considering the fact that Oshinoko's manga just ended a couple of months ago, November 14th in 2024, I believe, on chapter 166, and Season 2 ending around chapter 73 or 74 in the manga, if I'm remembering correctly. That means that this new upcoming season of Oshinoko is going to push us into the 100s marks of chapters. Now, there's no word on how many episodes are coming out, and as there's still about 90-ish chapters to adapt, there's no way this is going to be the final season. But the general belief is that Season 3 will cover the mainstay, scandal, and movie arcs. So, we got a lot to look forward to if you're an Oshinoko fan, like I am. But maybe more importantly than Oshinoko's third season, it's also being rumored that Frieren is getting its second season in 2025. And considering the fact that Frieren's 28-episode first season ended in 2024, the first 4 weeks of 2024, the idea that we're getting another season of this beautiful anime in 2025 is bonkers. Now, like with Delicious in Dungeon, I haven't read this manga. And that's rather intentional because I think the anime for both Delicious in Dungeon and Freyrin are literal masterpieces that deserve to be enjoyed without knowing what's gonna happen next. I'll tell you right now, if anything is giving Delicious in Dungeon a run for its money in the 2025 Anime of the Year department, it's probably gonna be the second season of Freyrin. But enough about all these ambiguously dated 2025 anime. Let's talk about the anime season that I believe is gonna give the summer 2025 season a run for its money for best season of 2025, the fall 2025 season. Because in the fall 2025 anime season, we're getting 3 huge continuations. And in terms of hype, according to my anime list, this isn't my words, it's theirs, from bottom to top in terms of hype, coming in last is the final season of MHA. To put into perspective just how crazy this season's going to be. See, last we saw from the world of My Hero Academia, Iron Might was squaring off with All for One. And for those of you who have read the My Hero Academia manga, you know just how bonkers that story gets from that moment forward. The last season of My Hero Academia is going to be non-stop breakneck action. Because in the fact that a fair amount of season 7 looked about as good as MHA has looked in years, it appears as though Bones, for the first time in a couple of years, is putting a little money into MHA to make sure that it looks good for its grand goodbye. This series finale will feature massive fights against All for One and Shigaraki. We'll see all of Class 1A coming together with their new heightened abilities to fight at the absolute edge of their strength. It is gritty, it is gory, it is compelling, and I liked the ending, even before Horikoshi added another 40 pages to it. Now up next in the second spot for the fall 2025 season, we have season 3 of Spy Family. Now while it does seem like it's been a while since Spy Family was with us, it's actually only been a year since the last season of Spy Family finished. Because in the fact that we got Spy Family White, the movie that came out last year, there's been a pretty steady flow of Spy Family content. Which makes sense, it's been consistently in the top 10 and sometimes the top 5 most popular manga for the last couple of years. Now, season 3 of Spy Family is gonna be more Spy Family. But the beginning of season 3 will focus on Anya's school bus getting hijacked by a group known as the Red Circus Terrorist Group. And thus Anya's gonna have to work together with all of her classmates to try and figure out how to get out of the situation without being injured. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be more Spy Family. But by far and away, the thing that people are most excited for coming from the fall 2025 season is the return of One Punch Man. Now, tensions are high surrounding season 3 of One Punch Man, because One Punch Man's 3rd season is going to begin covering what is undoubtedly the best arc in the manga, which is the Monster Association arc, which is the longest arc in the manga. People are a bit weary because the same studio that animated season 2 of One Punch Man, which many people say is much worse than season 1 of One Punch Man, is animating season 3. Now, for years, people believed that MAPPA were going to be the people animating season 3 of One Punch Man, but that's not the case. It's going to be JC Staff, the people who animated season 2. Now, some people are optimistic because, mind you, it's been 5 years since the last episode of season 2 dropped, and so even if JC Staff is filled with mediocre animators, at least they've had a lot of time, and thus hopes are slightly high that this best arc in the manga is going to be animated to its fullest potential. Unfortunately, we won't know until we see it. Now, I'd like to make a quick caveat here. Technically, we don't know that One Punch Man is going to come out in the fall season of 2025. We just know that One Punch Man's coming out in 2025, but considering the fact that we don't have a date yet seems to imply that it'll be coming out as late as possible. But who knows? We could get it early. But considering the fact that it's been 5 years since the last season, maybe let's not put our hopes too high. Now, that's technically all the big hitter anime that are coming out in 2025. However, that doesn't account for anime movies, as 4 big anime movies are also going to be coming out in 2025. Those being the second Haikyuu final movie, which, mind you, will be the last piece of Haikyuu content we ever get. It is literally the end of the story. And the second Haikyuu final movie is meant to pick up the plot from the place of the previous Haikyuu movie, which was the decisive battle at the garbage dump, which released in May of 2024, I believe. And thus this final movie will show us Hinata and friends' final push for the Nationals for one last chance at glory. Well, not one last chance for Hinata, he's a freshman, but still. On top of that, we're getting Madoka Magica's 4th movie, which is the first Madoka Magica movie we've gotten in 12 years, mind you, and will serve as a sequel to the 3rd Madoka Magica movie that came out in 2013. So if you're one of the 4 Madoka Magica fans, I guess 3 outside of me, this is huge news. On top of that, we'll also be getting the Reze arc Chainsaw Man movie this year, which will cover Chainsaw Man's Reze arc, one of the more lovable and yet devastating arcs of part 1 of Chainsaw Man, which will lead us directly into the final battle of part 1 that leads to well, some love, some losses, and some eating of loved ones. However, the movie that's being more hyped than even the Chainsaw Man Reze arc is the first installment of the Demon Slayer Infinity Castle arc trilogy of movies, which is set to come out in late 2025, as we learned from that Crow trailer. This movie will show us the beginning of some of the key battles between the Hashira, the Upper Moons, and the Big Four, as we'll see things like Zenitsu battling against old friends and the true complexities of the Infinity Castle being revealed. So with all that being said, 2025, to me at least, sounds like a banner year for anime. But I'm curious to hear from you guys. What's the anime in 2025 that you're most excited to watch? Let me know in the comments below, and while you guys are down there, for me, please like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go plan Danny's birthday.